Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today's video I'm going to be showing you 5 books you need to read. So I thought I'd give you some book recommendations, whether you want these for the month or you're just going through a reading slump, whatever is your situation. Here's 5 books that I think you need to read. Okay, so the first book is The Upside of Fallen by Alex Light. This is a nice YA closed door book. I rated this 4 stars personally. It was so good and really fast paced, so especially if you're going through a reading slump like myself, this is like such a good book to read because it will get you like reading, if that makes sense, and you won't stop. I'm going to read the synopsis to you for all of these books so you get a good example of them, and if I have anything else to say on top of it I will tell you, but for now I'm just going to read the synopsis. It's been years since 17-year-old Becca Hart believed in true love. But when her former best friend teases her for not having a boyfriend, Becca impulsively pretends she's been secretly seeing someone. Brett Wells has it all. Being captain of the football team and one of the most popular guys in school, he should have no problem finding someone to date. But he's always been more focused on his future than who to bring to prom. When he overhears Becca's lie, Brett decides to step in and be her mystery guy. It's the perfect solution. He gets people off his back for not dating and she can keep up the ruse. Acting like the perfect couple isn't easy though, especially when you barely know the other person. But with Becca still picking up the pieces from where her world was blown apart years ago, and Brett just barely holding on his together now, they begin to realise they have more in common than they ever could have imagined. When the line between real and pretend begins to blur, they are forced to answer the question, is this fake romance the realest thing in either of their lives? Sounds good, right? This is 288 pages from what Goodreads says. Nice, short, simple, a good rom-com kind of thing. Fake dating, if you love that. What else? Friends to lovers, kind of. So, yeah, very, very good. The next one is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Now, this isn't fiction. It's more non-fiction, but this is really good, really well written, and it just tells you a lot about her life. If you haven't heard of this book, it was like had its own hype when it came out, but this, I would check the trigger warnings because there's very hard topics in there, but it's not interesting to read. It's very hard to read, but the way it's written is amazing and I love it. So I'm gonna read the synopsis for you guys so you can get better more like better detail. Jeanette McCurdy was 6 years old when she had her first acting audition. Her mother's dream was for her only daughter to become a star, and Jeanette would do anything to make her mother happy. So she went along with what Mum called calorie restriction, eating little and weighing herself 5 times a day. She endured expensive at-home makeovers while Mum chided, "Your eyelashes are invisible, okay? You think Dakota Fanning doesn't tint hers?" She was even showered by Mum until age 16 while sharing her diaries, email, and all her income. In I'm Glad My Mum Dies, Jeanette recounts all this in unflinching detail, just as she chronicles what happens when the dream finally comes true. Casting a new Nickelodeon series called iCarly, she is thrust into fame. So Mom is ecstatic, emailing fan clubs, moderators, and getting on the first name basis with the paparazzi. Jeanette is riddled with anxiety, shame, and self-loathing, which manifest into eating disorders, addiction, and a series of unhealthy relationships. These issues only get worse when soon after taking the lead in the iCarly spin-off Sam and Cat alongside Ariana Grande, her mother dies of cancer. Finally, after discovering therapy and quitting acting, Jeanette embarks on recovery and decides for the first time in her life what she really wants. So yeah, that I recommend you read if you are fancying a non-fiction kind of like real book and you are interested in what really happens with like children actors, really, because you're having to grow up with fame. Like I could never imagine that. Like I've got to think that would be hard, to be honest. Okay, the next book that you should read is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This I actually have a reading vlog on, so if you want to check that out. But it's a very good read. I can't remember what I rated it. I think I rated it 4.55 stars. I can't remember, but it was a high rating. I'm going to read the back. High school sweethearts Emma and Jesse moved far away from home together, traveling the world, chasing every adventure, building a life of their own. 364 days after their wedding, Jesse is on a helicopter that goes missing mid-flight. Suddenly, he's gone. Years later, Emma's back in her hometown. She's grieved, she's learnt to live again, she's fallen in love. At a family dinner one autumn evening, she receives a phone call from Jesse. With a fiancé and a husband, heartbreak lies ahead, but is there such thing as one true love? So I love this because, like, you're following her story with her and her decisions with her, and it's a very hard decision to make. Like, you could never imagine yourself in that situation because you know you're gonna have to break someone's heart, and imagine thinking someone is gone and then all of a sudden they appear. Like, that is shocking by itself. So you are going through her thoughts of, does she go back to her husband who she already had a life with, who she married years ago, or does she go with her fiance who she's created a new life with, that she has become herself with, her new self? It's a very, I could imagine it'd be a very hard situation, but it's very interesting. And when you find out who she picks and why, you get it. And I just love it so much. And it's not one of those, people say it's a love triangle because in a sense it is, but it's a love triangle that isn't one of those of who do I pick, in a sense of what normal love triangles are, because I don't love triangles at all, and that's why I was hesitant to read this. But when I read it, I was like, okay, this isn't the normal love triangle, because there's situations and you understand the situations. So yeah, very good, very interesting, and I loved it. The next one I recommend you read is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. Now, if you love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, you will most likely love this. But also think of Love and Other Words in this, but written by a different author. I always say that, but that is literally what it feels like. The plot twist in this shocked me, but I was also expecting it. I think it could have been better, but in the end I did rate it 4.5 stars anyway. It was good. I'm gonna read the back to you so you can get a better understanding, but that, what I just said, is my opinion. 5 summers to fall in love, 1 moment to fall apart. They say you can never go home again, and for Persephone Fraser, that has felt too true for the last decade. Ever since she made the biggest mistake of her life, instead of glittering summers on the lakeshore of her childhood, she spends them in a stylish apartment in the city, going out with friends and keeping everyone at safe distance from her heart, until the day she gets a call that sends her racing back to Barry's Bay and into the orbit of Sam Florek. For 5 summers, through hazy afternoons on the water and warm summer nights working in his family's restaurant, Percy and Sam had been inseparable, and slowly that friendship turned into something breathtakingly more, before it fell spectacularly apart. When Percy returns to the lake to attend Sam's mother's funeral, their connection is as undeniable as it had always been. Percy must confront the decisions she made and the years she'd spent punishing herself for them, in order to determine once and for all whether their love might be bigger than the biggest mistake of their past. So yeah, it's friends to lovers, childhood friends to lovers, all that good stuff. So if you love those tropes, very good. This is more better for summer, which unfortunately is just past, and so you most likely have already read this, but if you haven't, you can read it at any time, but it's better in the summer. Then the last book I'm going to recommend to you for now is Darling Venom by Parker St. Huntington. Now, check the trigger warnings for this book if you decide to read it, because there are very, very hard topics in it. I decided to read this at a very wrong time for myself, and I regret it. I wish I'd checked the trigger warnings, but I went into it blind and regretted it. But I got through it and I did enjoy it. I rated this 5 stars. It was so good. But this is, let me think of the tropes. Best friends, brother, enemies to lovers, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to read the back. I wasn't supposed to be on the roof on Valentine's Day, neither was Kellen Marchetti. Sorry if I said that wrong. The school's designated freak. We met on the verge of ending our lives. Somehow the teetering strings of our tragedies tangled and tightened into an unlikely bond. We decided not to take the plunge and agreed to check on each other every Valentine's Day until school ended. Same time, one roof, two restless souls. We kept our promise for 3 years. On the 4th, Kellen made a decision, and I was left to deal with the consequences. Just when I thought our story ended, another one began. They say all love stories look the same and taste different. Mine was venomous, disgraceful, and written in scarlet scars. My name is Charlotte Richards, but you can call me Venom. Love it. This, you can actually kind of learn a lot from this book with mental health especially, or you can relate to it in a sense if you have mental health issues. Like, there were some things in this that I related to, and even though it was hard to read at times because I read it at the wrong time, it was still good, and I still learned stuff from it, and it kind of also helped me in a sense, which sounds crazy, and I don't think you've ever heard anyone say that if you've ever heard someone talk about the story, but it kind of did in a sense, because what it's kind of telling you is, even if you're going through the hardest point in your life, that you can, like, it will get better in a sense, and you've just got to push through the hard times. Like, that is what I got from this book, and I love it. I love that message from this book, and that's just personal. Not everyone might get that, but if you did, let me know. But that is what I got from this book, and that is why I love this book so much. So that got deep near the end, but I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe if you want. It's free, and I hope to see you on my next video. Bye.